Rise of the Gods, ambushed in the dunes. The wind howled through the desert, carrying whispers that clung to Damon's ears like phantom voices. The battle with the hooded figure had left his body aching, but his mind was sharper than ever. Something was watching him, something beyond mortal comprehension. He pressed forward through the shifting sands, his grip firm on his spear. The night sky above Egypt felt heavier than Greece's, its stars unfamiliar, like the eyes of foreign gods judging his every step. His wounds throbbed, the deep bruises from his earlier battle slowing him, but he refused to falter. Then, a flicker of movement. Damon dropped low, his instincts screaming. From behind a dune, a shadowed figure emerged, hooded but different from the one he had just fought. This one moved like a predator, slow and deliberate. "You stand in a land that does not welcome you, Spartan," the figure rasped, voice like sand scraping against stone. Damon tightened his stance, "And yet, here I am." The figure chuckled, "And yet you are marked." Before Damon could react, the figure raised a hand. The sand beneath him trembled, shifting unnaturally. Damon leapt back as skeletal hands burst from the ground, clawing at his legs. He slashed with his spear, severing the grasping fingers, but more rose in their place. Mancy. With a fierce roar, Damon charged. He hurled his spear, aiming for the figure's heart. But before it could strike, the figure dissolved into black mist, reforming a few steps away. The laughter that followed sent a chill through Damon's bones. "You fight like a beast, but even beasts are tamed in this land," the figure taunted. Damon retrieved his spear and braced himself, but before another attack could be launched, a sudden gust of wind howled through the dunes. The necromancer turned sharply, as if sensing something unseen. "Too soon," the figure hissed. "They come for you, Spartan." Before Damon could demand answers, the figure vanished, leaving only a swirling trail of dark sand. The hands that had reached for him crumbled back into dust. Silence followed. Damon exhaled sharply, muscles still coiled for battle. Then, from the horizon, a glow emerged, torches carried by a dozen riders atop armored horses. Their banners bore the sigil of a jackal-headed god. Anubis. A powerful force had finally taken notice of him. Damon squared his shoulders, rolling his grip along his spear. He had come to Egypt seeking survival, but survival alone would not be enough. The gods had heard his name, now he would carve it into their world. The riders closed in, their leader stepping forth, a warrior clad in black and gold armor, his helm fashioned into the shape of a jackal's snarling face. He dismounted, leveling a curved blade toward Damon. "You do not belong here," the warrior said, his voice deep and commanding. "Yet you walk as if the desert bends to you." Damon scoffed, "I walk because I refuse to kneel." The warrior's grip on his blade tightened. "Anubis has taken interest in you, Spartan. For that you will either prove your worth or be judged." Damon twirled his spear and stepped forward. "Then let me make my case." The warrior lunged, his blade flashing under the torchlight. Damon barely dodged in time, rolling over the sand and striking back. Their weapons clashed, sparks flying into the darkness. The other riders formed a circle around them, chanting in a tongue Damon did not understand. Damon pushed forward, using his Spartan training to predict the warrior's movements. But he was still weak from his earlier battle. His muscles ached, his breath grew heavier, and his grip faltered for just a moment, enough for the warrior to slam the pommel of his blade into Damon's ribs. Pain exploded in his side, but Damon gritted his teeth. He countered with a brutal knee to the warrior's stomach, then drove his shield forward, sending his opponent stumbling. The chanting grew louder. The sand beneath them shifted. Damon realized this was not just a fight, it was a ritual. Anubis was watching. With one final strike, Damon roared and swung his spear in a deadly arc. The warrior barely parried, but the force sent him to one knee. Damon stood over him, panting, blood dripping from fresh wounds. The leader of the riders looked up, breathing heavily. "You are not like other mortals." Damon spat blood onto the sand, "And yet I bleed just as they do." The warrior slowly rose, then nodded. "Come, Anubis will decide your fate himself." Damon exhaled sharply, rolling his shoulders. He had earned a place in this foreign land, but whether it would be as a warrior or a sacrifice remained to be seen.